This video is sponsored by Exter. What's going on, smart people? It is Monday. For those of you who are new, I'm a third-year grad student at New Mexico State University doing my PhD in theoretical nuclear physics, and it's still very COVID-y outside, so I thought it might be interesting to do a video on what it's like doing a PhD during quarantine and all that. Now, if you are a grad student and your position is funded, it's probably funded one of two ways. You are either a TA, a teaching assistant, or an RA. You just had the photobomb, didn't you? If you are a grad student, your position is probably funded one of two ways. TA being a teaching assistant, or RA, a research assistant. Me, I'm a little bit of both, but this is my last semester as a teaching assistant, and then I'll be doing research full-time. Now, since I'm a teaching assistant, I have to teach a couple labs, both of which are today. One is online and one is in person. How do you teach an online lab? How do you do an online experiment? Well, for the most part, they're either given videos where they have to do some motion tracking of the frames, or they're given raw data and they have to extract the useful information out of that by either doing fits or whatever. And there'll typically be a bunch of these mini experiments that they have to do. There's also softwares that are pretty useful. I'll leave links in the description for educators who are interested in nice little online stuff if you're teaching a lab. And then for the in-person portion, it's a lot easier because they're actually doing the experiments. But the lab that I'm about to teach is online and is all on the speed of sound. I have about an hour and a half before it gets started, so I'm just going to do some last-minute revisions. Time to teach these kids. Okay, the online version is done. Now all that's left for the rest of the day is I have to teach the in-person version of the lab that starts at 4:30. Yeah, I'll admit Mondays probably aren't the most interesting thing to watch because it's all TA-related stuff. I don't really do any research or anything like that. That'll all start on Tuesday, which will be a lot more fun to watch. That is, if you're interested in hearing me talk about tensors all day. Right, Mamo? Now this in-person lab gets out at about 7 p.m., which means no matter how well it goes, it still kinda sucks. Because of who I am as a person, I accidentally showed up like an hour early, but for the in-person lab, it's exactly the same as online, only they're taking the measurements, and then they're going to be using these variable length tubes and sending frequency to it until they get resonance, and they're going to be using that information to calculate the speed of sound. So overall, this will be a pretty cool lab. I forgot that I am covering for someone's TA duties tomorrow, so if I don't absolutely hate the physics of sound by the end of today, I certainly will by tomorrow.
2 hours later.
Okay, well, lab is over. Only one person showed up. I mean, there's an online version alternative that's always offered at the same time, so not many people are showing up to the in-person thing. So I was just able to work on research while they did their lab. I just have one more thing to grab from my office before I head home, so I'm gonna go do that. So the thing that I was going to grab last night from my office was really just my segue into the sponsored portion of the video. But there were people in the office and I felt really awkward, so I decided against it. So I'm going to do that later in the video. But today is Tuesday. It's one of my primary research days. All I have to do besides that is cover someone's TA duties at 3 p.m. So until then, I'll just be doing research. So I thought now would be a good time to try to explain what it is that I do. Now this is probably going to be one of the more technical parts of the video, so bear with me, but I'll give the short explanation first so that you can always tether it back to that, and then I'll start getting into details. So at the end of the day, I'm interested in describing like the pressure distribution inside of the proton and neutron, or collectively called the nucleon. The protons and neutrons aren't fundamental particles. They're made up of quarks and gluons and little quark-antiquark pairs that are popping in and out. And how is the pressure distributed inside of that object that we call the proton or the neutron? Well, we don't know the answer to that yet. But all of this stuff in nuclear and particle physics can always be tied back to the concept of a cross-section, which I've made videos on. It's like the probability of a certain process happening. You hit a target, what's the probability that you measure X in the final state? So in the cross-section, if you're not breaking the target apart, you can often expand it into what are known as form factors. And these form factors always offer some kind of physical insight. As an example, if you have particles that interact electromagnetically, then the Fourier transform of the electromagnetic form factor is related to the charge distribution of the target. So you hit a target, you get insight into how the charge is distributed. That's pretty cool. The object that I'm interested in isn't this electromagnetic form factor, but rather form factors of what's known as the energy momentum tensor. So that's this guy T mu nu here. That's the energy momentum tensor. And it's in QCD, quantum chromodynamics, it's a pretty complicated expression, but depending on how simple a model you're describing, this simplifies a great deal. But the form factors aren't the F2 whatevers that I wrote here. They are the A's, the J's, the D, and the C's. The A term is related to the mass, the J is related to the angular momentum and spin. The D term, well, we don't know about the D term very much yet. No one's really investigated it too much. There have been some calculations for sure, but it really hasn't been explored. And the C term isn't particularly important, or at least not in this discussion. But the D term is what we think characterizes how this pressure is distributed inside of the nucleon. So my advisor gave me a few iterations of models that are going from more simple to more realistic, and we're investigating how this D term changes. So oftentimes you look at general relativity to say what properties should the energy momentum tensor have. And when you do this, you introduce these what are called improvement terms to the EMT that you otherwise would have no reason to implement. And we're in the process of doing that now, because if you can't factor out all of your crap into just these D terms times this combination of tensors, if you can't do that, then that's suggesting that your energy momentum tensor isn't conserved in your model, which shouldn't happen. So we're in the process of adding these additional improvement terms in hopes that the offending terms kind of cancel and we can actually extract this D term. Now, I used to do all of these calculations in LaTeX itself. Like, I would do the work in LaTeX. I've since then evolved into someone who uses a tablet now, so I do all of my calculations on here first and then transfer it over, and then I'll type it up and send it to my advisor, who kindly will tell me where I went wrong. But yeah, all I do is calculate Feynman diagrams, so I'm in the process today of introducing these improvement terms, and hopefully stuff starts canceling. Okay, so I've learned a couple things. Number one, I'm getting a cold, which is fantastic. Two, going back to the energy momentum tensor, a couple weeks ago, again, we discovered that you can't factor out everything. There's other stuff that isn't mutual among all the terms, which is why we wanted to introduce this improvement term motivated by general relativity. But unless I'm missing something, it's just not helping the problem. It seems like it's only affecting the free field contribution to the energy momentum tensor. In other words, the part that has nothing to do with interactions. But all of our problems have to do with the interactions. So I have no idea what this improvement term is supposed to do, but it's not really improving much if you ask me. I guess in the meantime, I'll just work on revising my calculations and trying to make it a little bit prettier. And as I said, I have to TA at 3 p.m. But let's be honest, no one cares to hear more about TA stuff, so I will skip to tomorrow, where hopefully I have some better ideas on how to approach my issue. Okay, so I know that I said the next clip would be Wednesday after meeting with my advisor or whatever, but I decided to go on a run before I TA, and on my run I realized that I wasn't accounting for all of the effects of the improvement term on the energy momentum tensor as I originally thought there was. So first of all, every calculation I do is done in perturbation theory, and for what we do, we can always split it into two terms. One that is perturbative, meaning we can exactly find out what the answer almost is. Now, originally in a previous clip, I said that it looks like the improvement term only affects the free field case, which is weird, and that was just an incorrect statement. Now, I haven't fleshed out any details so far on paper. It's all up here for now, but there should be a Feynman diagram that contributes at second order, which is the exact same diagram that we've already calculated without the improvement term. And if this diagram ends up being the same one that was keeping us from being able to factor out the D term, Well, now they might cancel and we will be able to extract that term. So I only have about an hour and a half before I TA, so I'm going to try to get as far along in the math as I can for now. And hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to bring some good news. However, it's never that simple. So we'll see what obstacles I hit along the way. It is about 7:30 in the morning. My loud-ass downstairs neighbors probably went to bed about an hour ago. So I'm going to go stomp around my apartment for a bit, because I'm petty until my coffee's done. And then my meeting with my advisor starts in about half an hour. Okay, the meeting is done. Andrew, improvement term news. That's what we're all dying to hear about, right? That's what people are here for. So I got this, Jesus. So I met with my advisor, and the consensus was that this improvement term does have contributions to the D term. However, so in short, kind of running low on ideas here. So my advisor is reaching out to another physicist, one of the only ones who's really invested in investigating the D term, and hopefully he can provide some insight. But in the meantime, I've been instructed to move on to my other research project, which has to do with single spin asymmetry, which I frankly do not understand enough to try to explain it in a video yet, and I'll get to that later in the week. But for the rest of the day, I need to catch up on some grading because I am a bit behind. This whole clip makes me sound like the worst grad student. Also, later today, we have what's called a FIGHT meeting. FIGHT is our student organization made up of grad students that is geared towards increasing the quality of life of grad students at NMSU. As far as my department goes, I love my department, but higher administration outside of our department is run by a bunch of doorknobs with two left elbows, you know what I mean? So we're going to have a meeting later, introduce some new members. I'm not going to show that on video, but just so that you know pretty much the game plan for the rest of the day. So I am going to get to grading some introductory lab homeworks, and I will just try my best to keep my composure, even though grading is just so g-dang exciting. One of the things that is actually pretty cool about grading during quarantine is we've implemented that all homeworks be submitted via this app called GradeScope. And rather than grading an individual's homework at a time, you grade all of the submissions for a particular problem at a time, and you can set up a rubric and then just select what the student hit the mark on or what they missed, and it just makes grading so much faster. But if you think that's going to keep me from complaining, you are mistaken. There is a uniqueness and existence theorem for me finding a way to complain about something. Hey, my brain, can I focus right now, please? I still have a lot of grading to do today. Oh, so here's the thing. No, you can't do that. But what you can do is you can compile that code that takes an hour to run, and then your computer will get all slow, and you can't grade on a slow computer. Well, I do also have a laptop. Shut the f*** up. What am I thinking? It's only got like 85% charge on it anyways. Thanks, brain. All joking aside, I do want to get this week's homework also knocked out before my next meeting. It's just on harmonic motion, so it's really not too bad. Definitely didn't warrant a mini skit mid-vlog, but that's how I procrastinate, okay? So I'm going to get to that, and then I'll finally be caught up. 3 more questions to go. And then I can finally throw myself off of a building in Assassin's Creed, because how good is Origins, you know? God, I wish that were me. Okay, it is Thursday. I ended up cutting my hair last night because it was getting a little wild. But I'm all caught up on grading. Now I can start focusing on the stuff that I wanted to get done this week, as opposed to all that shit that I had to get done. And before I get into that, there's something that I should have mentioned way earlier in this video, which is I am a third-year grad student, which means I am done with all of my core classes, those being the classes that any physics PhD student at NMSU has to take. And I finished most of the specialized classes that have to do with the fact that I'm doing research in nuclear physics. There's one more that I have to take, which is Quantum Field Theory Part 1. I've already taken the second part, and I'll take that whenever it's offered next. But it has been decided that next semester they will be offering a graduate course in general relativity, and I am definitely signing up for that, even though technically I don't need to.
And this has just been a huge incentive, a huge motivator for me to finally finish one of the series that I've been making on my YouTube channel. Definitely the longest series I've ever made that's still not done over the past 2 years, which is my series on tensor calculus. So one of my big goals today is to make another video on tensor calculus, namely it'll be on curl in tensor notation. And on top of that, once that's done, I do also have one more TA duty that I have to get done for the week, which is I have to tutor. So I am the tutor for quantum mechanics this semester, and that starts at 3 p.m. So that's really all that's on the agenda for today. I'm going to start going over my notes and really go over the video in itself to make sure everything is squared away. And then I'm going to get to recording that. This whole curl video, I was like, cool, just one topic instead of a bunch of topics in one video. This one's going to be short. Nope, still 25 minutes. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I do know that I really am starting to prefer doing these videos on my tablet as opposed to the whiteboard, because it's just starting to look real nice. I have about 3.5 hours before I have to tutor, so I'm going to try to edit this video so that I can upload it tomorrow, which is, will be Friday. Oh, it'll be Friday the 13th.
That's pretty neat.
Neat. Anyways, okay, I'm going to get to editing. Okay, video is done being edited. Now it is just rendering. It only ended up taking me a little bit over an hour to edit, which is pretty good. I have plenty of time to kill before tutoring starts, so I think I'm going to go for a run. I'm not going to try to work too much today. Kelly's been out of town for a couple weeks, and she comes back tomorrow. So needless to say, I have some cleaning to do before she gets back. So that's probably, besides tutoring, that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day. Good morning, fellow mathematicians, and welcome back to another day of the vlog. Hey, Andrew, is that a different tablet than the one you were using yesterday? Well, that was Thursday's tablet. What am I going to use? The Thursday's tablet on a Friday? Come on, be real. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. My TensorCalc video uploaded about an hour ago. Seems to be doing pretty well for a TensorCalc video. I have a TA meeting at 9 a.m. where we're just going to be talking about how to do lab finals online and things like that. And then, thankfully, Kelly should be home at any time so I can stop being so bored out of my mind. I think she's here. Woo! She's here. Welcome home.
Hi. Can I?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me grab that for you. That looked heavy.
Yeah, that's helpful.
You must be starving. You want to go grab some breakfast?
Oh, hell yeah.
And do you know what you want?
I think I'll just get what I usually do.
Okay. Yeah, and we're just going to do the usual today. No, I got it. Where is it? Nope, not that one. Not that one. Easy, guy. Your food's not going anywhere. Jeez. Oh, there it is. Found my card. I just can't get it out. Why did the slot so small? Shoot.
Why don't I just get this one?
What the hell was that? You got a Yu-Gi-Oh! Dual Disc or something?
No, it's just my extra wallet.
Huge thanks to Extra for sponsoring this video. Look, I'm not the most responsible person. I lose shit. My mom, who comments on every single video of mine, can vouch for that. I'm someone who won't put all of their cards into their wallet because in my mind, if you lose the card, then you lose that card. But if you lose the wallet, then you lose all of the cards in that wallet, and I'm no stranger to losing my wallet. But since partnering with Extra, that is a thing of the past, because along with the really cool wallet that you get, you can include one of their card GPS trackers that fits right into one of their pockets, making losing your wallet literally impossible. Now, let's say that you don't know where your wallet is, but you know it's somewhere in your house. As long as you have the associated app installed and this card in your wallet, now you can literally call your wallet. What a time to be alive. Now you can pick up one of these wallets by clicking the link in the description and taking advantage of their up to 40% discount site-wide for their Black Friday sales. So huge thanks to Extra for sponsoring this video. Now back to the vlog. Okay, time for the TA meeting. Right, so I mean the only suggestion that I have is, and it's not really a fully fleshed out idea yet, was maybe instead of giving them this written final exam. What if we just like, what if we just beat the shit out of that? I actually haven't started the meeting yet. I realized that instead of insisting on stretching this vlog out any longer just so that I can show you that I went to a meeting, I'm gonna go ahead and end the vlog here. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a lot of fun making it this time and recording it, so I hope you enjoyed watching it. Let me know in the comment section if you did, and I'll see you guys there.